Hi, I'm Gina, and my dog is hacking up a fur ball. Hi, I'm Gina, and there's a little rumble going on over here between a dog and a raccoon. Welcome to my life. Hi, my name is Gina, and welcome to Narc-Anon, where we are using 12 steps to tackle narcissistic abuse and just other issues with toxic relationships. Obviously, we are using Al-Anon and Coda literature and kind of the principles of Al-Anon and Coda. So if you are dealing with an alcoholic or addict, this very much also applies to you. I've been told that I am supposed to tell you all, or whoever is listening to this, to please like this video if you like it, and also please to subscribe to the channel if this content interests you, and please to hit the notifications bell if this content interests you, and you will be helping definitely to get this message out there to other people who may need it. So it's really helpful for you to do those things, and I appreciate it. So without further ado, I'm going to read today's reading in Courage to Change. Woo! I'm just gonna say it's a little bit difficult to make a video when you have a toddler and a dog and a raccoon fighting, and it's complete and utter madness over here sometimes. So it's like if one's not making noise, the other two are, or somebody's always making noise or getting into trouble. It's just a little bit crazy. So just breathe. Okay. So we're going to continue on, and I'm going to start by saying the Serenity Prayer, which I really need right at this moment. So please join me. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Yeah, amen on that today, because right now, March 29th. It's time I started being nicer to myself. The voices in my head that tell me that I'm not good enough do not speak the truth. They merely reflect the damaged self-esteem that results from living with alcoholism and narcissism. When I recognize that fact, I can tell them to be quiet. I will no longer listen. Al-Anon recovery has given me gentler, loving thoughts. These remind me that I am lovable and that I can learn to love myself. When I open my mind enough to hear that message, I can begin to hear all the other wonderful sounds of life, and the abusive thoughts vanish. Today's reminder: treating myself with kindness and respect helps me to challenge my own self-criticism. Today, I will pay particular attention to any voice that speaks lovingly. And the quote, "We need to learn to live, to focus on something good or useful to our lives, and let the rest of the world go about its business." So I think I want to tackle this one first by talking about how we end up with damaged self-esteem as a result from living with alcoholism or narcissism. Let's talk about the first of the first, way back. Let's take it way back first. So if you're a child of an alcoholic or a child of a narcissist, maybe both. God bless you. That stuff all starts very young. The lack of self-esteem, generally what happens is when you have one parent that is an alcoholic, they're off doing their own thing, and whether they are a narcissist or not, they're off doing their own thing. They're not very involved in the family. And then the other parent, if they're sober, a codependent, they tend to try to overcompensate for the other parent. They're trying to pick up all of the pieces in addition to run the family and run the household. And then they're, worried and resentful. And there's so much that in the dynamic of dealing with an alcoholic or a narcissistic parent. The thing is, you will have one parent that's kind of like checked out, and then the other parent that's trying to overcompensate, but they're probably, sometimes they're super pissed off, resentful that the other parent is checked out. So then they get a little crazy, and they're in their own world. So the children suffer because there's nobody really there for them emotionally. Their parents are off being very busy doing their own thing. And the same with similar with a narcissistic parent who is invalidating a child and or making a child believe that only certain things are good, certain things that this child does, and if it's beneficial to the parent and the narcissistic parent, and then the other parent who's not narcissistic trying to make up for the negative behaviors that the narcissistic parent is putting the child through. So it gets really crazy. But the invalidation in either situation with an alcoholic parent or a narcissistic parent, the invalidation is from the jump, and that will create a low sense of self in a child. My parents are too busy. They don't care. They've told me that I'm only good when I do this, and this. They told me I will never amount to anything. Like whatever it is, and it could be a wide array of behaviors, but it's just a recipe for a low sense of self. So that's when it could start young. But let's talk about you get older, and maybe you were never in that type of situation. Maybe you were always super confident, and you had a really good sense of self, and you had a really good self-confidence. Or even if you were born into alcoholism and narcissism, but you grew up and you had developed, maybe you, for whatever reason, you went to school, you got a degree, you built a business, whatever you did, or maybe, whatever you became confident, you built confidence, and you were pretty reasonably happy. You had a past, with some difficult and toxic people, but you really overcame it, and you were happy, and you got in a relationship with an alcoholic or a narcissist in your older, when you were healthy mentally. And the reason you might get into a relationship with a narcissist or an alcoholic, if you were a healthy-minded person, might be because it's what you know. It is from your past. So what happens then is, and I could speak from experience, and I will, I'm just going to switch it on over and talk about my experience with this right now. I was reasonably, I grew up in an alcoholic home. I had been, life is up and down, up and down. But overall, I would like to believe that I was pretty well confident, when I entered into a relationship with an alcoholic narcissist. And then the narcissism happened to me. And you'll totally know what I'm saying if this has happened to you. Where it's like, I really liked this person, really liked this guy a lot. And he just, he seemed super different. There was something very different about this person than I had ever experienced dating. I had never dated anybody quite like this. And he actually was my second narcissist, but the first one was very different than this one. But this one, he was just a little like aloof, maybe. But what ends up happening is that they start, maybe starts like where you have an appointment with this person. Like, say they're supposed to come over on Friday night at 7. Coming over on Friday night at 7, you're probably gonna spend the night, hang out, watch a movie, maybe have a couple drinks, blah blah blah, whatever. And then Friday comes around and you get a message maybe like an hour before, and they're just like, yeah, hey, I'm just gonna let you know that I'm not gonna make it by today. And it's fairly early in the relationship, a couple months in, and you're like, okay, well, that sucks. And their reason, there's no really good reason for it. They're just like, but yeah, they're like, yeah, I'm just feeling kind of mellow tonight, just kind of thinking I'm just gonna sit around and like play some music and, stay home tonight. And you're like disappointed, but it's not that big of a deal. You're just like, okay, well, I'll see you next time. It kind of sucks, but whatever. And then, maybe a few more weeks go by, things are, normal, and then it happens again, but this time they just don't show up. You don't get a message beforehand. They just don't show up. And then you like message them, maybe like an hour later, like they're supposed to be there at 7, 8 o'clock, you message them and you're like, hey, what happened? Are you coming? And then like maybe some time goes by and they're like, oh, my bad, yeah, I'm just kind of laying low today. I decided I'm just gonna hang out here. I'm not in a really good mood and I don't want to bring you around this negativity. And so you're like, okay. So again, you're kind of disappointed and hi, baby. So again, you're kind of disappointed, but you're like, and then things like that start happening just more frequently. And at this point, you're months invested into the relationship. You're like way into this person. It doesn't seem like there's like a lot of good reason for this person disappearing. other than that, like, the reason seems almost valid. Whatever reason they're giving you seems pretty valid. So you're just kind of like, I don't even know. I don't really know what to think of this. You just kind of like let it slide for a while, and then, that progresses into this person, you don't hear from them at all, and you message them when they don't show up, and they don't say anything back, and it just it progresses to where you message them when they don't show up, and then you just don't hear anything back, and it's not till the next day that you hear something, and then you're pissed. You get to a point where you're like, okay, this just isn't cool anymore. This just isn't cool anymore, and now I'm pissed. And so now when you come back around after you blew me off and like ghosted me for the, weekend or whatever it is, it's like now I'm pissed. And when you come around, like, then this person comes back around and they're like, they don't allow you to be pissed off. They're just like, and this is all like a slow progression. This doesn't just happen quickly, but it's like eventually it gets to a point where you can't even be pissed at this person when they start doing crappy stuff to you, because what they'll do is they just disappear. So like if you're pissed off or you have a complaint, they're just gone, and they're like, oh, you're pissed? All right, bye. Like, talk to you when you're not so mad anymore. I'll feel you out in a few days. See how you're doing then. And then they call you again in a couple days, and you're still pissed. And they're like, okay, bye. I'll talk to you again in a couple days. Hang up the phone. Call back in a couple days. And at this point, you're like, I cannot be pissed off. Because if I am pissed off, they're going to disappear again. So they essentially train you to not have any negative emotion, to not have any negative feedback towards their completely horrible behavior. And if that's not a self-esteem crusher, then I don't know what is. Because that over time will severely damage you, because you're like, first off, why don't you want to be around me? So much so that you just disappear. And then why is it that I can't talk to you about it? You won't even entertain like to understand why this is happening, or help me understand why you're doing this. And then that accelerates to a point where you're like, you know what, I just don't want to do this anymore, so I'm going to step out of the relationship now, and thanks, it's been nice, but you don't understand what's going on. Like, maybe you don't know they're a narcissist, like I was in the situation where I didn't know this person was a narcissist, so I was just like, I don't really understand what you're doing, but I don't want anything to do with it anymore, so bye. And then, like, a few days or a week would go by, and they'd be like, well, I miss you, and, I think things should, we should hang out or whatever. And then it just, so you're like, okay, maybe, something's going to change now. This person's going to change. It's going to be different this time. And they come back, and it's good, might be good for a short while, and then it goes back to the same crap again. and then you're like, okay, now really, like, I want to be done with this, and like, for me, I liked this person so much that even though they were doing this to me, the best that I could do would be like to tell him to leave me alone. I'd be like, okay, seriously, just like go away now. Like, leave me alone. I've had enough of this. Go away. But, and I would never reach out to this person in this situation. I just wouldn't do it. I was like, fine, you want to treat me like I don't exist? I'm not going to exist. And it killed me. I was very hurt, beyond hurt, like psychotically hurt. But I would not reach out to this person, but then they would eventually reach out to me, and that's where I couldn't handle it. Like, I was not capable of not responding if he said something to me. And it would always be super sweet. Or like, or okay, either if it wasn't sweet, it would be some super depressed tactic, like, I'm super depressed, I'm kind of like not feeling well, I'm feeling a little suicidal. Or it would be, God, I'm such a piece of trash, like, I'm such garbage, and I can't believe I screwed it up, I can't believe I continue to screw it up with you. So invariably the cycle of like trying to get away from this person, and then them like sucking me back in, and then and I mean, there are other aspects of it too, but I'm talking about this in reference to like this game and this cycle and the treatment and all this stuff. It is injurious to your being. It's heartbreaking. It makes you feel like you are nothing. And it's just really terrible. It's a terrible thing to go through, and it really does start to eat away at your self-confidence. And once your self-esteem is ruined, you're pretty much extremely pliable for this person at that point. And that was exactly the intention all along. That's what they were doing from the beginning, from the jump. And before you understand that this person is a narcissist, it's just confusing because your empathic mind cannot wrap around the concept of somebody going out of their way to hurt you in order to manipulate you and control you and get what they want from you. It's completely unfathomable. So when you realize you're dealing with a narcissist, it takes a while for your brain to be able to even compute what the hell is wrong with this person. So now we understand how just a couple of the ways that this starts to erode our self-confidence and our self-worth and our self-love and our self-respect. This is just how this begins to happen and how it happens. And a person can tell you directly or indirectly by their actions, they can tell you that you're worthless so much for so long before you start to believe that. And your mind starts to tell you that, yeah, you're not worth hanging out with on a Saturday night. You're not worth going to dinner with, or whatever your plan was that gets blown off. You're just not worth it. And then a lot of times in narcissistic and alcoholic relationships, the intimacy is also gone. That's because a lot of cerebral narcissists are asexual, and a lot of alcoholics their bodies just don't function. So both of those situations are the same, and when you're desiring to be intimate with your person and they're not having it, and I feel like, this may be totally wrong of me to think, but it's just like it seems like it's even a little bit worse when you're a female and this person's a male, because generally males they're not going to argue with you on that. So when this happens, it's like that's another thing that's like severely damaging to your your self-image, and makes you question, does this person even like me? Like, am I really, am I unattractive? Am I like gross in some way? Are they, whatever? It's messed up. So yeah, so they can really get to your self-worth after all this time of all of this negativity and all of this showing you that you are not worth anything. Your brain starts to pick up on that, and your brain starts to pretty much tell you the same thing. So it may not be like a conscious thought, it may be very subconscious, where you're just going along with your day and you just start to not think so highly of yourself. Like, it just starts to be this creeping thought in the back of your mind, and like I said, you may not even realize it's happening, but maybe you start getting shy around people. You're not as talkative as you were. Maybe you're not so much like the life of the party when you used to be. Maybe you're staying home and isolating more. You don't want to be out with your friends as much. It's like all these things start happening and getting in your head, and it's destructive. By the time that I had endured this abuse for some years, I had completely lost my mind. I can't even pretend like it was anything else. I was insane. Insane with confusion and a broken heart. Completely just didn't understand what the hell happened in my situation. Pretty much I would say I don't even know how to explain it. It's just completely crazy. But my narc actually left me when I was 4 months pregnant, and proceeded to play games with me until fairly recently. So I was completely insane and severely depressed as an end result of years of narcissistic abuse. And when I that's when I started going to Al-Anon, and I have been going for a couple of years. So now when I am dealing with the narcissist, it's completely different. Like, it doesn't, he can't get to me anymore. Like, I didn't think that would ever happen. I was so insane, like, over him, like literally just nuts. And now it's almost like, as terrible to say, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And this is a clear indication that I do need to work on my program more, because I kind of see him as like a science experiment, and it's kind of funny and interesting, and I just see it differently than I used to. So I haven't heard from him in a couple months at this point, and I'm okay with that. It's completely fine. And if I do hear from him, I'm sure I'll have fun with it. And if I don't, that's cool too. I'm just so indifferent at this point to the whole thing. But something that you learn in 12 step, you start to learn how to love yourself, because pretty much anybody, addicts, obviously narcissists, that's a whole other thing, us, codependents, empaths, we all need improvement in that category of self-love. So this is a topic that's been a little hard for me, maybe mostly because it wasn't my priority. I feel like everybody, and by what I mean by that is, as everybody, when they come into Al-Anon or Coda at like from a rock bottom where I was just like, done with life, done, so depressed, so abused, so just done. For me, I needed, my biggest concern at that time, I needed to know how to live without this person, how to breathe without this person. Like, I was extremely codependent on this person, and that's what I needed. So I didn't care about myself. I didn't care about building self-love. That was not my main priority. It was pretty much staying alive at that point. So self-love has never been something that I've like really, it's not been a point that I've worked really hard in 12-step yet. But even at that, it's improved greatly, just like by default of doing the rest of the stuff. It's just happened. And I know this because recently, like fairly recently, I was just kind of thinking about myself, and like when I'm ready to start dating again, and like what would that be like, because I'm so different, I'm so changed from any time before that I ever dated, as a result of all of this. But it's like, so I think about like, what do I have as a person to bring to the table in a relationship, and what am I looking for? And that I knew that I was establishing some sort of self-confidence back, because I was like, I have a lot of good qualities, and I have a lot of good things. I was able to see the positivity in myself that was gone, completely gone. So even though I haven't necessarily like actively worked on that, it's I'm learning it, even if I didn't realize I'm learning it. But that goes with a lot of stuff in 12 stuff. It's like you're working on one thing and all this other stuff is getting better, and you don't even realize it's happening until you look back and you're like, oh shit, yeah, look at that. One of the things that's good to do to work on that is to like get a piece of paper and write down 5 things that you like about yourself. 5 things that, like, okay, so for me, I like that I'm an animal person. I like that I stick up for the underdog, which actually is partially what got me into this mess in the first place. I like that I am working in a 12-step program, and it's a commitment that I will always aspire to be a better person. I like my artistic abilities, whether it's decorating or making something or writing music or like whatever. I like that about myself. And 5, I don't really have right now, so I'm just going to go with a gratitude instead and just say that I'm very blessed and very lucky to have the things that I have, a roof over my head, a house, that I love, a beautiful baby, some fun pets that I love, and family that I love, and that's more than a lot of people have. So as you can see, I'm not great yet with the self-love thing. That's something that I could use a lot of work in myself. There are other aspects of 12 step that I feel like I excel with, and this is probably not one of my strong suits yet, and I say yet because I definitely have faith that I'll get there. So with that, I'm gonna wrap up this video, but please, again, I don't want to like beat a dead horse. It's awful saying, awful. But yeah, if you liked this video, please like it. Leave a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more of 12-step content and healing with me from toxic relationships, from a toxic relationship or several. Yeah, just and the notification, the bell, that will be cool, just because seeing what the next topic is, because it'll be different every day. And I look forward to talking with you again soon, and thank you for listening. Bye.